Collective, hello, hello, my loves. Welcome to Vivid Vibration. My name is Christina. I hope that y'all are doing well. Y'all, I went and got new tarot cards yesterday. I got a new tarot deck and a new oracle deck. And I haven't done it in a really long time because if you move as much as I do, the two hardest things to move are tarot decks and books. So I was really excited. But this is the oracle deck that we're starting with, a dream song, the Dream Song Oracle by Angie Solins and artwork by Marta Orlowska. Orlowska. Anyways, we got one card and it was tell a new story. And I loved that. I loved that. She's like a little Victorian bird perched. And the picture in the book is the picture of her. The wind tousling her hair. I love that. Okay, we're going to read the book and see what it says because, like I said, just got this yesterday. Stoked. Okay, tell a new story. You are made of wings and wonder, starlight and stories. Telling yourself a story of empowerment will bring a surge of energy. Notice how your shoulders drop, your breath deepens, your heart warms. This is because the truest, deepest part of you understands your worth. Telling yourself a story of scarcity or disempowerment leaves you tight, small, and cramped. That tale goes against your very expansive nature. While we are very selective about the books we read and the stories we watch on film, we are far less selective about the stories we tell ourselves. Are they helpful or hurtful? Take careful inventory of the stories you tell yourself right now. Your life is listening and will respond to your narrative. Love. It's so true though. It's so true though. That's why it's so important for us to reclaim our voices. It's why it's so important for us to reclaim our stories because there are a million and ten motherfuckers out there who will want to tell your story on your behalf, and they will do it with nasty intentions and poor motive and shit logic and understanding. You know what I mean? Do not let the world tell you who you are. And yet, go through. I love advertisement. I can't even lie. It is so intriguing to me to listen to the way ads are created, what story they're telling, the imagery that they use, the music that they lay over. You know what I mean? They're like the intricate detail that goes into creating such a simple message, and the way that it directs the masses. The way that it tells their story for them so that they're not creating their stories. They are just in line with the story that's being fed to them. It's why I think there's such a frustration with, the idea of sheeple because it literally, people are terrified to have original thought. And it's so streamlined to them that they don't even recognize the reality of their horror of truth and originality. You know what I mean? Which is a lot to deal with sometimes, for sure. Okay, we're going to use the Magical Hours Tarot for a clarifier for this, and then we'll go back to the old cards too. But I just wanted to start with these because they're so pretty. These cards are really slippery. They're beautiful though. Okay, we got a bunch. Oh, I love this is a very feminine, strong feminine energy to this deck. Love it. Okay, we got the Three of Wands, the Page of Pentacles. Y'all, I don't know if it's focusing very well. These are so beautiful. Page of Pentacles. Oh, I love that. Her dress is the night sky. Come to bless. The Knight of Cups. God, these are strong cards. Yo. The Queen of Cups. Oh, emerging from the waters. Love. That tea is steaming. And the Hermit. Beautiful. I don't know what kind of flower that is. Okay, well, let's read what the book says about the cards, because sometimes I really enjoy the little stories behind them. Um, Three of Wands. There is magic in this card. It is the moment when you can kick off the event and expand your vision. After the strategy implemented in the Two of Wands card with the Three of Wands, you can start the real action. It is not just about birthing something new, but also bringing fresh energy to an ongoing project. It is a turning point, redefining your reality. It could be associated with the Magician in the Major Arcana. Now is the time to put your magical and personal power into action to change and improve things. Follow your vision, expand your gaze. You can be daring. Now is the right time. Love that. This is very much a read of just like take hold of your story. Take control of your voice. I mean, I think that, part of that, again, that juxtaposition that we run into in society is like people wanting to have control and fighting against the control of others while struggling with the idea of being in control of ourselves, because what does that mean, right? Because if I'm somebody who turns to religion to like gain control of myself, and that's a positive thing, where does it become negative? It becomes negative where it becomes this like point of, well, control of self turning into control of others, um, because like if the world existed in its truest form, if every individual embodied their truest potential, their truest power, their truest light, their truest darkness, if they really allowed themselves to tap into self, the world would be so vastly different than it is today. And the reason that it has gotten to the way that it is because people want to argue the semantics behind it all, instead of honoring the whole truth of it. They want to pick it apart piece by piece to find the loopholes, to make the excuses and justifications that they need to continue to function with that mentality. And then it becomes the sickness, right? It's the progress of it all. And so you have to awaken to the sickness before you can deal with the real issue. And the issue is always avoided, because you see an issue and then it's, well, this and this and this and this and this and this and this. And you could have very simply said something. It's like saying something to a 6-year-old, and a 6-year-old can grasp it. And then saying something to, like a 60-year-old or a 30-year-old, and they're like, well, but then if you do this, and then if you do that, and then you do blah, 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 and they create this massive web of confusion through their many versions of semantics that they've attempted to use in a means to control other people, to push them in the direction that they want to go. Our voices are always like the first things to be taken from us. And usually the first things to be dangled in front of us is a point of mockery. You don't really have a voice. You don't really have power. You don't really have purpose. You don't really matter. And watch while we kick you around to prove it. The world is so gross. Knight of Cups. Here's the most romantic of the 4 knights, the Knight of Cups, who does not spur her horse toward dangerous adventures, but rather leads him down the gentle paths of the heart. More in love with the idea of love than with a specific person, she is romantic and dramatic, as befits any self-respecting Princess Charming. Valiant but distracted, she may get lost along the way as she is enamored by her new sentimental mission, in which She alone can prove her worth. Delicate and gentle, she is familiar with the dream world and has an artistic soul. At her worst, however, she can become the stereotype of the cursed, manipulative, and dependent artist. In her lives, the combination of the adolescent rush of love and the nobility of spirit that she can reach if she integrates and matures through the lessons of life. Well, I just feel like that's the little synopsis of a journey of me, an artistic soul who lives in a dream world. But again, it's that balance, right? It's that balance because that can be a powerful thing, but if you allow for people to question you every single step of the way, then you become lost in the stereotypes that people want to put on you because they're not comfortable with your means of thought, your means of formulation. It challenges them, and it brings to question their character. So it's only natural that they would fight it and try to turn it into a poor character of you. But being an artist, being a spiritual person, being somebody who creates outside of the terms and the context of the ones who are in charge isn't an unhealthy thing in and of itself. It becomes unhealthy when you allow others to play narrator to your story and they don't have a clue about your story. In fact, they choose to be willfully ignorant of your story. It makes creating their narrative a lot easier, right? Again, the reason we have to take our voices back. Okay, then we go to the Queen of Cups. The Queen of Cups holds in her hands a cup with a lid, the only one like this in the suit. In it, she keeps a mystery. The secret of this queen is all in her ability to welcome, to make herself into a treasure chest that also contains the emotions of others, an ability to listen and heal. The Queen of Cups is a psychic. Her intuition is like an antenna that receives even the most subtle hidden communications. She knows how to read beyond the visible, to dissolve pain and make it liquid like tears. She is someone you can confide in, because what you say will be safe. She knows how to use words, weighing them carefully. Introverted, reserved, and quiet, the Queen of Cups is the queen of quiet magic, revealing herself at twilight when the sky turns indigo and the first fireflies light up. I love that. I love that progression too, because it's true that if you allow for others to take hold of your story at the onset, they can keep you from your power. They can keep you from your true magic, just by taking your voice. Our voices are one of the most powerful things that we have. The Hermit. Let's see. I'm just really enjoying this. This is just fantastic. Okay. The Hermit card is about solitude becoming a gift. Solitary moments can be a valuable resource. Solitude is not something to run away from. It's a place to take refuge in order to listen to our inner self and to investigate the mystery and bring light where there is still darkness. The hermit carries a light, often a lantern, that illuminates the path step by step. This is because the path of inner discovery is something to be developed slowly, as we carefully observe the direction we are going. It is this card of those who are reserved or introverted. In a society where extroversion seems to be the key to success, the hermit values the reverse movement, listening, decompressing, and making space. The flower is the snowdrop. Oh, a winter flower, one of the first to bloom despite the fact that the season is still cold. It is a solitary bloom, and its bearing resembles that of the hermit's white lantern, shining the rays of the winter sun. Yeah, again, the idea of isolation, the significance, the importance, the need to pull away from the narratives of others, in order to create a true narrative of originality and an honoring of the process of becoming. I think that's fantastic, and I am super stoked on these cards. I don't know. I mean, I feel like that's its own message, but we'll do some of the old ones and see what else we get, because we got time. Alrighty. The Eternal Child and the Dead End. Well, the Eternal Child is just that well, I don't know. I always say, I mean, I've worked with kids a lot more when I was younger, but I, me and kids, we vibe because kids make sense to me. they're, they're honest and blunt and silly and playful and just pure. And I think that as long as there are issues in our world concerning our children, we should never just dismiss it and say, we know that it's a problem, deal with it, shut up about it. That's one of the most disgusting things I think a human being can say. Because children are so innocent and they embody so much spirit when they come into this world. They come in with their own little personalities and their own purpose. And the world does everything in its power to prevent it as soon as it can, you know? I think the best thing that has ever happened to me in my life was the opportunity to be a stay-at-home mom. To really just like be there with the boys. I mean, I remember Kyle and I used to fight because I would not put Alexander down. I wouldn't. He didn't walk until he was like 16 months. But he didn't want to be put down. He wanted to be held. And I wanted to hold him, and he was my baby, and I was going to do it. And anybody who had a problem with it could fuck off. You know what I mean? Tell me to put my child down. The fuck's wrong with you? You know what I mean? I wanted to protect that for as long as I could. I wanted to hold sacred space for that as long as I could. But I think that that's part of that childlike fervor, right? Like just like this desire to hold, to this desire to do, this desire to try, I mean, like my youngest, oh God, I spent years holding my breath. He's such a little monkey, but like and his little toes, he would just like climb the sides of walls, And I remember one time we were down in West Virginia and we were at these waterfalls, and I love waterfalls. I used to like travel to them a lot in my dreams when I was younger, and so just like as an adult, like if there is a waterfall, that is where I want to go. They're so powerful to me. But anyways, we're at this waterfall, and it was probably like 15 feet high. I mean, it wasn't like insane, but it was very high, and it was literally like this, and there were just little ledges. And he just got his little toes and his little fingers. I don't know. He was probably like 12, and just like climbing the side of this wall like Spider-Man. And like you let him do it because you don't want to discourage it. You just hold your breath and hope to God that they don't get hurt, and that if they do fall, that they catch themselves. I remember one time we were hiking, and he was at the top of this one, and he jumped off of this cliff. No, he fell. He fell. There were leaves because he had climbed up to the top while we were like, because he would just run really far ahead, and then he would climb up really high, and then, and be like, hey, look at me, you know, and he hit, and it was the fall, we're in Ohio, so there's leaves everywhere. Steps on the things, the leaves fall from beneath him, but he's so agile because he's constantly climbing everything that he lands like fucking Spider-Man off of this massive. You're just like, are you okay? I think we were all terrified because we come around the corner as he's coming down. But he was never not curious enough to do it, and I never wanted to instill any kind of fear in him to be too afraid to do it, and that meant moments in time where we all experienced terror and the fear that he was going to get hurt, but he never did. He's got bones of steel. But anyways, That's just a little story about my sons. But anyways, I feel like there have been parts of us that we've just felt like, like all of this curiosity, all this desire, like we want to do things, but we've been held in environments where people told us to sit down, be quiet, be afraid, recognize that like there are limitations and there are structures and there are ways that things have to be done. Like the people who want to steal the story, the people who want to steal our innocence, the people who want to say, yeah, it happened, we all know, shut up about it, nobody cares. Yes, we know that you don't care because you have no soul. You know, like, it's time we reclaim our story. It's time we reclaim our innocence. It's time we reclaim the innocence of the ones who are constantly being limited and told that they can't and they need to adhere. You know, fucking the millennials have Stockholm syndrome from the boomers. And some Gen Zs are just like jerked over Stockholm syndrome millennials, and some Gen Zs are here ready to change the fucking world. And I'm sure the same will be true of the alphas. But it's our job to foster growth, not to limit and discourage it based on a structure that royally fucked a lot of people over. Right? It's time to cut away with the lack. It's time to do away with the steady disservice that is handed out like cake or McDonald's. It's time to go in new directions. It's time to embody the power that we hold. It's time to tap into that childlike wonder. It's time to reconnect with the soul of ourselves that has been, I think, disregarded, disrespected, treated. Treated like the victims. Yeah, I mean, because that's the thing, right? That is the thing that really just makes my stomach turn. Is that like we wouldn't need a list if people would just believe everyone. And we wouldn't have to argue with idiots if they had souls and they cared to really deal with the pain instead of gaslighting it and patting themselves on the head because they are more conscious of the fact that they're repulsive and why, while still spewing soullessness on the masses. Yeah, we gotta take that shit down. We gotta cut that shit out. We gotta deal with that shit. And the only way we're gonna do it is to take our story back. The only way we're gonna do it is to stop being afraid of sharing our experience because we feel like there are gonna be people who are gonna be their convenient ignorance is the ultimate oppressor. Nine of Cups in the world, the Three of Cups, the Sun, and the Ace of Cups. Oh, we got the Three of Cups in the one deck too. Yeah, I mean, it's an end. It's definitely an end because I think that there's this idea of when things are good, they're good. When things are bad, they're bad. But they're not always one thing or another. And I think that for a lot of people, that was used as a mentality to string somebody along. You know, like like well, for me, I think that there's been a mentality that, like, well, if you string somebody along, and this isn't any organization. I remember even like being in the church, and it's like, well, or even working with the healers. It's like, well, if you do this, then you can do that. If you do this, then we'll acknowledge this. If you do this, then we'll acknowledge that. And it's like they string you along with well, we'll reward you, like if you behave accordingly. while we completely disregard everything that you are and everything that you've done, because it's not convenient to our need of control. Like, it's what politicians do. It's what's happening within the entertainment industry. It's everywhere. And it's disgusting, soulless behavior. And it's time that we take our story back across the board in every situation that we encounter in life, because as long as it's okay in a low level energy, it's okay in a higher ranking low level energy. The confusion enables. Ace of Cups, Three of Cups, and the Sun. When we clear up the confusion, when we take our stories back, when we take our voices back, when we start honoring each other and we start honoring the experiences that we have as individuals and as human beings, we are able to collectively combine and rise up. We are able to recognize that we are not alone. We are able to quickly destroy the things that sought our destruction. And sometimes we do have to take a beating to bring in awareness. But so be it. Eight of Cups, Ten of Wands, and the World again. Yeah, there's just a really big end of all of the bullshit that has been carrying itself out. Stringing people who want to string you along, people who want to sidetrack you from your goals. They want to tell you, well, if you would just focus here, then you would be better off there, and da-da-da-da. Like they really get in the way. They really do bring a lot of oppression. They really do bring a lot of confusion, and they really do think that they're clever by stringing people along. But in the spirit world, they look like those what are those people who, they're like old-timey gangster movies is like what I'm seeing in my head right now. But they like they put money down on a string, and then they like pull somebody along, and then they like jump them in the alley and like rob them. You know what I mean? Like that's that energy, that's that like character, that's that narrative. And I think it's a narrative that a lot of us have experienced in our lives concerning our own person, especially if you've been involved in any kind of organization, religious, political, or whatnot, educational, corporate America. You know what I mean? Like there's something that you have to sacrifice of yourself every time you go into these arenas. And there's a reason that you have to sacrifice a part of yourself. And it's because they've been trained that that's how the world operates. That's how you come up. You come up by taking from other people. But we need to really just be done with allowing other people to take things that is not theirs to have. And we really need to kill the illusion that people who create the storm are going to come out on the other side of it as anything other than the ones who keep the chaos. You know what I mean? They don't get to be the heroes. And their savior complex is showing when they fight that. Number 14, the rider is a sure sign of good news unless alongside 6, 8, 11, or 13. Well, I don't know. I mean, we have the 8 of Wands. We have the High Priestess. I feel like, again, it's just this, like, for some people it's good news, for some people it's bad news. Which side of the story are you on? Which character role did you choose? Choose your own character. Was your character that you chose? because really and truly, life is a video game in a lot of ways, you know? And story is a very powerful tool. I want to end with another one of these cards. Bring the exile home. So beautiful. She's laying on her home as her pillow. 41. There will be times when you are the exile searching for belonging, like the ugly duckling going from place to place in hopes of home. This can be situational, temporary sting, or a long drawn out ache of longing as you seek your true place. Either way, it's incredibly painful to feel homesick for a place you've lost, or heartsick for a home you've never had. This isn't punishment, nor is it permanent. Your quest for connection is a holy one. Now is the time to apprentice yourself to your lostness, to companion your longing by asking what it wants from you. Drop down into the wound of your unbelonging and listen to the melody found there. Its song calls you toward true home, where the exile no longer has to fit in, but simply belongs. Because that's what happens when we reclaim our voice, when we reclaim our story. We reclaim our home, we reclaim our person, we reclaim everything that makes us who we are. And good job, us. All right, y'all. If this does resonate with you, please do give me a like, share, and subscribe. Thank you so much for spending some time with me and sharing your energy with me. I hope that this does resonate with you. If it does, please do, give me a like, share, and subscribe. I already said that. And I will see y'all again soon. Bye.